You have also been quite critical of Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools, had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate, Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds. And so on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the Vice President has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time. Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I too met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this president of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important, the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response?
That is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling. I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam Rasulullah wa ba'd, in the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Family, friends, foes, welcome back to the Feachaz. We greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. Now, before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here, and today we are talking about another crazy topic. I know y'all saw the title, and you were like, oh no, what's this man going to talk about now this time? All right, so this particular topic is something that is very close and intertwined with the social engineering of the Black community. And we've covered on this channel many times how Black feminism was used as a weapon in order to destroy the Black family. So now we showed you the video between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And you're probably trying to see what is the connection between this and whether or not should Black women marry white men, okay? You're probably wondering, what is the connection here? And I know that's what you're thinking because of the title, right? And it is very relevant. And I'm going to show you why. Last week or so, like a couple of days ago, one of you, I can't remember who it was, but you had sent me this particular article relating to the Supreme Court choice of Mr. President Joe Biden, who has now been nominated the Supreme Court Justice of the United States, Ketanji Brown Jackson. However, the New York Post ran this particular article right before Ketanji Brown was, in fact, nominated for this particular job. And I want to read to you this particular article, and then we'll get right into it. So like, subscribe, share, grab your popcorn for after iftar. You're going to want it, and you're going to need it after this episode. Just trust me on this one. Okay, so the article here, this is the New York Post, as you can see. It is dated April 1st, 2022, right? And it says, why more Black women should consider marrying white men, okay? By a Mr. Ralph Richard Banks. Ralph Richard Banks, okay? He wrote this article. So let's read, shall we? Two of the most powerful positions in the United States government will soon be held for the first time by Black women, Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Harris, as we all know, is the Vice President of the United States, and Brown Jackson could soon become the Supreme Court Justice. But Harris and Brown Jackson also share a personal attribute that is equally noteworthy. Okay? Each has a white husband. Y'all hearing me? Anyways, let's continue. Let's see what he has to say. This fact is significant. The effects of racism have left well-educated Black women with a paucity of Black male partners. What has left Black women with a paucity of Black male partners? Educated Black women. In other words, Black women are far excelling Black men in the education department, which is causing Black women now to remain without Black male partners. That's what his argument is, okay? According to Brookings Institute data, Black men are less likely than Black women to have completed high school and a 50% less likely to have attained a four-year college degree, okay? Yet despite the shortage of suitable Black partners, Black women have also been the least likely of any minority group to marry outside their race, according to data from the Pew Research Institute. Research Centers, rather, okay? Mind you, everything he's saying so far is actually factually correct, okay? But let's see what his argument is, okay? Rather than partner with men of other races, many heterosexual Black women either don't marry or marry black men with whom they are not especially well matched. So this is what his argument is, okay? He is saying that because these educated black women are in the stratosphere of academia and they're not finding any black men, they're opting now to remain single, which is an epidemic, okay? That's his argument. Can somebody please tell me, is that a logical argument? He is arguing that because black women are getting educated and no black men are there, they're opting now to either not get married or to marry down. What? That's his argument. Okay? But anyways, let's continue. Okay? Yet despite the shortage of suitable black women, okay, we already read that, rather than partner with men of other races, many heterosexual black women either don't marry or marry black men with whom they are not specially matched. And these mismatched relationships contribute to African Americans having the highest divorce rate. This right here, anyway. And these mismatched relationships contribute to African Americans having the highest divorce rate out of, one second, where am I? A rate out of any racial group. In fact, black women are the only demographic to have a higher divorce rate than marriage rate.
Stop the cap.
We mentioned this already in this channel. We mentioned that black women are the only group of women that have a higher divorce rate than a marriage rate. But he's saying the reason that is because black women are getting educated and there are no black men around. So then they have to marry down. So it's better for you to marry Zaddy instead of marrying, a black man. That's his whole argument. Y'all hearing me? So anyways, because this article was written on April 1st, some people actually thought it was an April Fool's joke. They thought it was an April Fool's joke. And I believe that the New York Post was methodical in putting this article out on April 1st. But as you can see, he's actually putting out legit statistics. And then he comes with some smooth interjection of an argument, like this fallacy. You understand? Black women are getting educated and they're also divorcing. Therefore, black women should marry white men because white men are getting educated. You understand? So just to show you that this particular individual is not joking around, right? We're going to show you what he actually really believes. He actually believes this stuff. So let me just get this all queued up. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon.
We have more black women, right, graduating from college, 2-to-1 to black men. You throw in incarceration rates, you throw in the unemployment rates, and you're saying there's just not enough black men.
Well, there are not enough black men for all the college-educated black men in particular to have the type of husbands that they want to have.
the type that they want to have. Now, I put this out. We had this conversation yesterday, and a lot of people were chiming in. And I decided to ask the questions from viewers. And one of the questions, simply put, is do black women deserve better than what black men have to offer? That seems like a very heavy question there, but is that essentially what it is? Do we not measure up to the quality of black women right now?
That's really a great way to put it. And I will admit that I usually think about it from the other perspective, which is that is it fair to ask black women to sacrifice their own happiness on the altar, as it were, of black men's struggles? I think not.
Is anybody asking black women to sacrifice their happiness for black men's struggle? Did anybody ask black women to wait for black men to get educated to get married? Who is making education a prerequisite to get married? As a matter of fact, ironically, and we will put the stats out there, college educated, the same demographic he's talking about, college and university educated black folk marry out more than any other group of people. It is the college and the university educated people that marry out, which makes total sense to me. It makes total sense to me. But this man, okay, he's asking the question, but is it fair? Who asked this question? Who asked this question? Ain't nobody asked this question. But they only do these types of social engineering experiments with black folk, and you have to ask yourself why. And don't worry, we're going to come back to Kamala Harris in a minute, right? So anyway, let's keep watching what this man says.
What is that?
I think not.
Okay, what's that sacrifice necessarily when we're talking about, and I asked you this question yesterday, is it always marrying down if the person you're marrying doesn't make as much money or have the same level of education? Could be a good guy.
Yeah, he could be a good guy, and lots of relationships work across classes. That's true. But it's also the case that for everyone, not simply for the women, but for the men as well, having a spouse who is matched to you educationally in terms of your outlook, your aspirations, your experiences, that's a positive thing. So it's actually not a great thing for the wife or the husband if they're in a mismatched relationship.
All right, and we know a lot of conversations were started yesterday because of this topic, and I had one of these conversations at my house with Mrs. Holmes, and one of these things that keeps coming up is how do you, and the word I think my wife used was reprogram, if you will, black women, because you're suggesting they need to be open to dating outside of their race. But, you know, a lot of black women just like brothers. They like the black man.
Right.
So if you're just not attracted naturally, why have them give up on finding a black man?
It's not just black women who like brothers. Let's be clear, okay? It's not just black women who like brothers. Right? But the opposite of that is true. Black men love black women in general. And the black men that we all know, right, in larger black society would prefer to marry black women. We're not talking about the ones who are maybe attracted to people who are outside of black society. We're not talking about that. If you have like an attraction to somebody, it's no big deal. As black people in general, we don't particularly care about that. So now we're stuck between Dr. Omar Johnson, who is vehemently against interracial marriage, and this Mr. Ralph Richard Banks, who is advising that black women just, get your education and marry out. Like that's going to solve the problem. The problem starts with the education to begin with. That's the problem. This issue is not restricted to black men. The problem is that when black women, it's a cultural thing where black women, they believe they have to get their education first before they get married. This is a quirk in the black society. Every other group, every other ethnic group, they get married while they are in getting their higher education. All of them, except for black people. But we're going to come to the stats in a minute, so don't worry. We're going to finish this part off, and we'll get back to it.
Right, that's a great question. And the issue, the way I think of that is that women have been asked to carry a great load. Black women shoulder a lot of the burden, in short, of black men's struggles. And I am asking women to put the burden down. Many women think that they're attracted to black men. They are attracted to black men, but attraction itself is complicated. And one of the things that I discovered in the course of writing this book is that there's a whole host of fears and desires and anxieties that animate black women's attraction to black men.
Okay, and on that though, I got another question from a viewer, Judy, sent in and said, well, it sounds like you're saying, why should black women give up the good fight? You know, you're not telling them to take on a project of fixing a man necessarily, but why just give up on black men?
Right, that is another great question. I actually am asking black women to give up the good fight because the fight hasn't been successful. The fight has not been successful. This is what a friend of mine, Carolyn Edgar, calls a Negro Improvement Project, which is what a lot of black women undertake, and often the results are not so great. So the strategy has been counterproductive. It doesn't help African Americans for us to have black men and black women locked in bad relationships and raising children in households.
Family, let me ask you a question. Let's say we take this man's logic, okay, that marrying down, that marrying down is something that's necessary for educated black women in order to get married if she wants to marry a black man. Let's accept that for 1 second, okay? We're going to accept that. Does that necessitate a bad relationship? Let's say I agree with you. Black women, they must marry down in order to get married because they're getting educated. Now, you're going to have a bad relationship now because you married down? Your relationship is going to be bad? Ralph Richard Banks, y'all. Ralph Richard Banks is a professor, a law professor at Stanford Law School. Okay? This particular interview that he did was back in 2011. So that article that he wrote for the New York Post was not an April Fool's joke. That's the whole point. That's why I wanted to show you this. He believes this stuff. You think that the attack on the black family was just, a myth. Yeah, Salaam. Family, y'all know the Holocaust deniers are, right? Like these people who deny the Holocaust. These types of, like, these neo-Nazi types, okay? Well, the black community is not only infested with black Holocaust deniers, but we actually produce them like the indigenous Indian cult in them, okay? Millions of our ancestors were lost through the Middle Passage. Millions. W.E.B. Du Bois, he wrote that a conservative estimate of the kidnapped black people who were perished in the Middle Passage, meaning the trip from Africa to the Americas, is 100 million. 100 million just in the Middle Passage. We're not talking about the ones that were here, and we're not talking about the ones that are there, just in the Middle Passage. So we even have black-looking people who say that slavery never even happened, let alone the atrocities that white people are very proud to inflict on black folk, and even keep records of their systematic murder of black Africans. They just outright denying that this happened. We're in a position where we have, we have to fight the white supremacists who is finding all kinds of ways and methods to justify their wickedness to us. We have to fight against that. And he even outright denies that he does the stuff that we see him in pictures doing, right? We have to fight that, and on top of that, we have to fight these black-looking folk who love massa in them, and they'll be willing to do anything to protect his interest. So we talked about how in South America, back in previous videos, they kept accounting records, and they estimated the lifespan of their African slaves. Okay, so they estimated the slave will live for approximately 7 years, so that every 7 years they would replenish their Africans because it was economically advantageous. Okay, meaning that it was cheaper to purchase a new slave than to allow these dying slaves access to food or medicine. Well, now there is a rise of this new type Negro, and they're even worse when they're Muslims. We had a couple of them on the show. They are, because these, when people like this, because being Muslim and like this is completely and utterly treacherous, and it's backwards. Okay, you can't be like this and Muslim and expect it to jive well. It won't mix. It doesn't work. And these new type of Negroes are the promised land deniers. You have your Holocaust deniers, and you have your promised land deniers. What is a promised land denier? These are the people who deny what Allah has promised you. He has promised you victory over his enemies and our enemies. Allah says in Al-Baqarah, do you think that you will be admitted into paradise without being tested like those before you? They were afflicted with suffering and adversity and were so violently shaken that even the messenger and the believers with him cried out, when will Allah's help come? Indeed, Allah's help is always near. So you have these type of Negroes. They don't believe in Allah's help. They believe in masses' help. You understand? This type of Negro will hear Allah making a promise, and Allah's promise is not like our promise. He never breaks his promise, never ever. But they will insist on shucking and jiving for Zaddy in them, trying to make his house cleaner, his coffers more full. And we have this new Negro even offering up our women to them, the enemy. So let's be crystal clear. And in Islam, there's nothing against interracial marriage. And I personally don't have an issue with it, And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that a woman is married for 4 things: her wealth, her family, her status, her beauty, and her religion. Her wealth, her family status, her beauty, and her religion. So you should marry the religious woman, otherwise you will be unsuccessful. Okay? This is the advice of the Prophet. He didn't say anything about race up in here, right? He said women are married for their wealth, their family status, their beauty, or their religion. When did education ever become a prerequisite for marriage? Who taught you that? Where did you learn that from? The best reason is to marry the woman with the religion. We know as Black men what happens to us, all the humiliation that we face when we try to marry Pakistani sisters, Bengali sisters, even in some cases Somali sisters, Arab sisters, you name it. All kinds of humiliation we got to face. So for us, we've been looking at Black women, but you know, when you're trying to face your options, right? We all have to level up, the men and the women. But here comes this man making a parallel between education and happy marriages. And not only that, but also saying that marrying Zaddy is a solution for the Black woman. But since he invoked Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson, since he invoked them in that article that he wrote in the New York Times, or New York Post rather, let's have a look at their records, shall we? Shall we have a look? Shall we take a closer look at their records? Let's have a closer look, shall we? Do you mind? Do you mind that we put a microscope on how these two women that he is invoking that are married to Zaddy, how they helped the Black community? Let's start off with Kamala Harris. Might I remind you of a situation that happened with Kamala Harris, and she never became Black until when she started running for president. That's when before that she was Asian. Now she's Black, right? But let's have a look at this, shall we? Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Guys, share this live, please. Share it and make sure you put the likes up on this. I can tell that YouTube's been messing with my channel for sure. I have no doubt about it. But so you guys are the marketing team, and I need you guys to please like, subscribe, and share. So let's look at this.
Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. You're responsible.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
I hope that was a pretty decent reminder. Okay. Taking you back. Taking you back. That is who Mr. Ralph Richard Banks is invoking. And when the establishment is trying to give you advice as Black people how to operate, then know the only advice that they're going to give you is how to betray your own people. That's all they offer you all the time. They only offer you treachery. So what about Miss Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson? What about her? What's her deal? Y'all want to know? Y'all ain't ready. You are not ready. Okay. Let's find out about Miss. Why would Joe Biden? What is his? What do Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kamala Harris? What do they have in problem? What do they have in common? Well, they have white husbands in common. Correct, according to Mr. Ralph Richard Banks, they have white husbands. Well, why does Joe Biden, one of the most racist senators in history, and arguably one of the most racist presidents in history, arguably, why does he like this chocolatey brown Ketanji Brown? Why does he like her so much? I don't know, but let's find out, shall we? Let's find out. Alabama's first Black federal judge asked Biden not to tap Ketanji Brown Jackson for Supreme Court. Do you know that Joe Biden, he had like 6 or 7 Black judges, female, lined up for this job? And like, I believe 5 of them, 5 out of the 7 had white husbands. 5 out of the 7. We know the 2 ones with the Black husband wasn't getting wasn't getting picked for nothing, no how, right? But I believe that Joe Biden, he knew that he was going to pick Ketanji Brown, and the Republicans knew that they were going to pick Ketanji Brown, and the Republicans just put on a whole song and dance for, this whole process, because they themselves wanted Ketanji Brown, but they had to convince their people that, like, oh, we're trying to, be racist like y'all, right? Why do you say that, Bilal? Like, why? Like, why are you saying that? You sound crazy. Word. Let's see why this Black federal judge asked Joe Biden not to tap Ketanji Brown Jackson, okay? Let's see, shall we? The first black federal judge in Alabama sent a letter to President Joe Biden asking him to pass over a leading contender for the U.S. Supreme Court. NBC, see? That was before he actually picked her. This is when she was in contention. You understand? When was this article written? This was written in February 5th, 13th. Wait, when the judge is asking Joe Biden, don't pick this lady. Pick any of the other black judges, just don't pick her. Why? Why? Let's read, shall we? Okay. Huey Clement, a former state lawmaker who served as a federal judge in Alabama from 1980 to 2009, petitioned to the president not to consider Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson for the vacancy that will be filled up upon departure of Justice Stephen Breyer later this year. Jackson, who has been the frontliner for the seat, currently sits on the Federal Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. In his letter, Clement said that there were several exceptionally well-qualified black female aspirants for the Supreme Court, but expressed a desire to see Jackson out of contention for the nomination. The trial judge pointed to the case of Ross versus Lockheed. In 2016, a class action lawsuit brought forward on behalf of 5,500 black Lockheed Martin employees as a basis for his opposition to Jackson's potential nomination. What did Jackson do for these 5,500 black employees of Lockheed Martin? Do you guys know who Lockheed Martin is? Lockheed Martin is one of the biggest weapons and arms companies in the States. Okay? Lockheed Martin. So, anyways, let's continue, shall we? Jackson presided over the case, and Clement said that in the letter the judge failed. I said she failed to green light the settlement that was already reached. The settlement was reached. It was a done deal, which was set to disperse $22 million to the employees. She refused to approve the settlement because, in her view, there were no common factual questions. Ketanji Brown Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, this is why they want you, black women, to marry a white man. Because they understand very well. There's a reason why in Islam, a man can marry a Christian woman or a Jewess, but a woman cannot marry a Christian or a Jew if she's Muslim. There's a reason behind that. Y'all hearing me? Joe Biden did not pick these women all willy-nilly and by accident, right? They were chosen because of this stuff. And then they have people writing articles in the New York Post telling black women, oh, wow, look, you know, but marrying a white man will be success for you. Just look at these successful, and they got it because they married to white men. And who is cheerleading this stuff? You think it's jokes? Who is let's have a look. Let's have a look who's cheerleading this stuff. One second. We're going to go back. So when Ralph Richard Banks, he did that video that I just showed you. When he did that video, I want y'all, just one second, y'all. I want y'all to look at these comments here, okay? Now look at these comments. All black women. All black women, okay? I greatly appreciate this man for his honesty. Still completely valid today. The author is so right. I bought this book recently. It's interesting read. All black women singing his praises. You think this stuff is fake? It's not fake. This is real. They are really affecting the way that you think. This is crazy. And who are they giving you as examples? Traitors. Traitors to the wider society. They're telling you those are the examples that you should be following. You think it's jokes. When I announced that I'm going to be putting this video, a brother put a comment. I won't say his name, but his comment was very rude to black women. Very rude. We don't do that here. Every single time that we talk about these issues here, it's out of love and out of trying to get to some sort of understanding. We don't do gender wars here. We don't do that here. There's so many places that you can go to get a gender war. And what we are telling you, that yes, there is a war. Propaganda is warfare. The fact that so many, like it was all black women, all like, yep, you right. Get me a white man. Yep. So quick. Just quick with it. Anyways, back to Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson. We mentioned that Lockheed Martin is a weapons firm, okay? And she did that in 2016. What y'all don't know is that it's not possible for her not to have known the history of what was going on at Lockheed Martin. It's impossible. Let me read you something now. One second, y'all. Like, subscribe, share me up on Patreon. This happened in 2005. Lockheed workplace murders targeted blacks. This is a well-known thing that was going on in Lockheed Martin for years. In May 12, 2005, internal Lockheed Martin documents obtained by ABC News show that what the company was called a case of tragic workplace violence was more complicated and was some were calling the worst hate crime against African Americans since the civil rights movement. An investigation by ABC News Primetime found that Doug Williams, an employee at Lockheed Aircraft Plant in Meridian, Mississippi, taunted and made death threats against black co-workers. Y'all play too much. These are the people that they're putting in front of you as examples for marriage, black women. Telling you to marry a zaddy, black woman. These people. Advising you, get you a zaddy. You know, in the book, New Confessions of Economic Hitman, he goes through all these stories. And there's a playbook. You can see a pattern of how women get treated in third world countries. You get these tall white men in suits going to these countries. And then these tall white men in suits, they offer up these loans to these countries, which they know they can't pay back, with the intention of enslaving the population. Okay. So countries with no previous history of prostitution, now they have epidemics of prostitution all over South America, even in the Muslim world, Morocco, Kenya, Somalia, many places, Yemen, Bahrain. Bahrain is a little bit of a different situation, but you know, because Bahrain, they import their prostitutes to do their work. But the point is that the dominant ruling class, they developed an entirely new industry from colonialism called sex tourism, which allows them to impoverish these countries and have cheap access to their women. Why are there people telling you, don't be single, just marry out? Like we asked. Did anybody ask for this? There's a reason behind that. They're not telling that to anybody else. They're not saying that to anybody else. Let me show you the stat. You think it's cap. I'm not capping. You think it's cap. Watch. Watch this. Let me get this up for you. I'm going to show you this article from Pew Research. Where are we here? Yep, there it is. This is from Pew Research. This is the thing. I believe that he's quoting this. Okay, I want to show y'all something. Among blacks, gender gap and intermarriage higher for those with. This is so crazy. The gender gap and intermarriage higher for those with some college or more. You got to be kidding me. The same people that he's saying that are not intermarrying, according to the same article that he's quoting, are actually intermarrying. You get it? Y'all, are y'all seeing what I'm seeing here? The very same people that he's saying, oh, black women, go marry out. They've been marrying out without your permission anyways.
What?
I said they've been marrying out without your permission anyways. So why even write the article? The reason why it's done is because it's a type of inception. The article is not for the educated Black woman. The article is for the Black woman. That's who it's for. It's an illusion. He didn't connect a single fact or figure to his whole thesis there. Like it's some dire problem that the more educated these Black women are getting, they're not even considering marrying out because they're educated. And if they marry down, then that means they're going to be in a bad marriage. Like, who told you that? You see how people interfere with your affairs? It's not a joke. My wife, I married her when she was in university. I married her actually before she was in university. Before she was in university, I married her. She finished university while I was married to her. Why don't you advise Black women to get married? That should be the advice that you should be telling them. But what you're telling them is to marry Zaddy because you have an agenda. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay.
What you got for us? Just go ahead.
So there's so many things that are a cap on the article. Well, not that article. I mean, the stats are real, right? We've seen this for like even before Real Muslim, like we were seeing stuff like this come out, right? Like you just seen it.
Use the false equivalency fallacy, right? And if you don't understand fallacies,
Right.
you won't understand what he did. He made a connection where there's actually no connection.
Right.
And he did that with an intention behind that. But anyways, continue. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, and I'm almost wondering, like, if because in general, in every society, with every minority group, you see the same thing, but with Black people, it's especially here in the West, it's something that's a lot more apparent. And I almost feel like it's a way of breeding the Black out. Because he couldn't get it any other way. Feminism wasn't working, but it kind of still is working. Because the whole reason why a lot more women are getting educated was because of the welfare system, and the welfare system was giving women grants to actually go get educated, right? If you have a child out of wedlock and you wanted they quote unquote guys that as wanting to get you off of welfare. So they started offering you grants to go get an education and so on and so forth. So therefore you're going to be in this pool as a woman, as a Black woman.
That is actually a great point that I did not
right.
think.
And so for him to now say to go marry out of your race, I mean, and like I said before, like being educated doesn't necessarily equate to being high value, right? And being educated doesn't necessarily mean that marrying somebody who's quote unquote not educated means that you're marrying down either. There's, especially within our community, there's too many things at play that would go against all of what he said, right? And I almost feel like too that what was I gonna say? I almost feel like too, like again, like what I was just saying in the chat was that even in Islam, when it comes to Muslim women, they try to do the same things with Muslim women, and for the most part are unsuccessful because Muslim women won't comply with the idea of one, taking off the hijab, two, basically taking off the hijab. And what they try to do with Muslim women is that they try to weaponize her covering as well, if she's covering, she must be extremist, but you don't find this when it comes to men. So the way to get out of community, the way to get out of society, to destroy them, is to get at their woman. Hence, again, feminism, right? Like, we see the same thing being played out over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But again, because we are here in the West, we see it a lot more, or it's more apparent in our own community.
Yep. And just to add to that, with the Black community, in the Moynihan report, it was mentioned that Black women were essentially, the Black marriage was always like historically under attack, and it was like laughable.
Right, exactly.
That a Black man would be married to a Black woman, and under the institution of slavery, because the slave master would just have their way with their women. You understand?
Even in school in general, like, you find that if you go to a college or a university, it's almost like that's the dividing point, right? You find that Black men tend to marry other, and you find that Black women tend to marry other, but it's almost strategic in that sense, because you're basically, when they okay, I'm going to use the example of the athlete. When they vet athletes to go to different schools, and they send them to parties and whatever, they're not surrounded by Black women, right? They're surrounded by other, right? And then who do these athletes end up marrying? Is it, if it's not other? It's the same concept that college and university, I almost feel like it's planned that you see so many of us, who get divided in that sense. And is it really
remember that these institutions are not whatchamacallit, your local community. You understand? So when you go to your university, you're going to be in classes with whoever's in your class. So you're going to socialize with those particular people. So marrying out is not something that's weird. It's
not.
Like when you're in university or in college, it just makes sense. But what is weird is that this man, okay,
yeah, for real,
is saying that, because you Black women are getting educated, right, and you're not getting married because you're getting educated, because a Black man isn't there. That's his whole argument,
right?
And I'm saying,
but the Black man isn't there by design.
How did you make this connection? Like, where is the connection here? You understand? Why is this even, like, how did you say that Black women are not getting married because they're going to college? They're not marrying out. They're not considering marrying out. But by the same Pew Institute Research Center, right? The same one that you just read, they are telling you that Black women are marrying out when they go to
exactly.
college. You're not speaking to those. You're speaking to us. You're giving us a message, and then you used Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown.
She's the worst. Well, who doesn't even, and that's the thing. Kamala Harris, she doesn't even consider herself Black until she's pandering to Black people.
Yeah.
So why are we even like? Why is she even?
Traitors. You choose the traitors of Black society as examples of why you should marry out without tying any type of evidence to what you're saying. You just got some facts together and said it's happening because Black men aren't getting educated, and Black men aren't getting educated as much as Black women. This is a fact. We understand.
This is a fact, but Black men are getting educated.
But not only that, but the point is the marriage part.
Mm-hmm.
This is where there's absolutely no link at all whatsoever. No matter how he cuts that cake, because if you're going to say that Black women aren't marrying out because they're getting educated, well, your own research says the opposite.
Right.
And if you're going to say that Black women are marrying down, because they're getting educated. Well, your own research says the opposite on that too. Okay.
Right.
All right. So who is your message for? And if you look at the comments, you see all black women. All black women. Yeah,
The message is for like-minded individuals. Like I said, also is that, think tank
That's what it was
blanks,
about.
blacks
It
are
was
not
really-
on that level. Think
it was
tank blanks
really
won't.
It was really an attack on black men. That's all it was about.
That was, yeah, it was.
Right?
It was.
If it was based on something, where the dots are clearly connected, we have no problem accepting it because we've got a lot of problems in the black community we need to fix, but they weren't clearly connected, and the people that he's having us look up to are so treacherous. Can you imagine? The deal was done between Lockheed Martin and the black folk who were working there. It was finished. All she had to do was approve it, and she didn't approve it.
Yep.
Who does that? Who thinks like that? I challenge you to find another judge who did exactly what she did to somebody
You won't.
else.
You won't.
You won't. But she did it because, she's an enemy to black society. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yep.
And we as black people, we have to smarten up because we have a hell of a lot of enemies from outside and from inside.
Yep.
And that's why
Like just like all those women who commented about how he's right. He's right. He's right. Those are all enemies. And
he's right. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes
you're either a weak-minded individual or you're an enemy.
Yeah, you could be an enemy to the wider society because instead of looking at the entire issue, like instead of actually putting in the work and doing the research, you're quick to comment, and your mouth gets you in trouble. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned this. He said that the majority of the people will be in the hellfire because they couldn't control their mouth, right? That's the thing that gets you in the hellfire. You can't control it. And texting, it might as well be talking. It might have been saying it with your mouth if you put it in a text. You get me? So this is what happens. Black people in general are very quick to voice their opinions when nobody asked. You understand? And that needs to stop. That legit needs to stop. Yeah. If you're not willing to put in the work into researching a subject, your opinion really is not needed. But that's what happens. And what happens is because you see all these opinions moving in one direction like a wave, all of a sudden it does something to you psychologically, because a human being, he doesn't want to be against the grain. He wants to be a part of a group. So psychologically, you have to accept what these people are saying. And that's what happens. And now the war between black women and black men, it gets intensified because of stuff like this.
Right. The other thing I didn't like about that either was he was saying black men struggles. I'm like, for me, it's a black struggle, period. Why is it that the black man struggle is separated from the black woman's struggle? Other than the fact that you're a man and that a woman is a woman. Well, it's still whatever affects you affects me. Whatever affects me should affect you, right?
Well, that's that black feminism again, right? I mean, black women were never pitted against black men until the 60s, late 60s,
right?
Right, when they started introducing black feminism, because
that's what it was. It was more open.
History. Yeah, black women have no history of feminism. Feminism was always an argument with the white woman and her man, always.
And it's funny because black women still get paid less than their white counterparts.
Yeah.
So why would to me, why would you even endure the struggle of a feminist movement when you're still not equal to your counterpart? It doesn't make no sense. The feminist movement was never made for us. It was made for them. Against us.
But at the end of it, we have these issues, these problems, and people will always exploit your weak points. You know, that's the art of war. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we are the ones. We are the ones. Is this a them problem or us problem? Again, it's an us problem. We are
It's
the
an
ones
us
who need,
problem. We are our own weakest link.
yeah, we're the ones who need to shore these things up. And there's so many things that are beneficial from the Quran and the Sunnah that we can do, and we need to practice at least the bare minimum, the core aspects, like
Right.
Respect, respecting each other, brotherhood, these type of things, helping each other, these type of things. It matters. When I talked about the what you call it, the Holocaust deniers, that is real, right? That is real, the Holocaust deniers. But what is also real are the promised land deniers. We have too many promised land deniers in the Black community. They talk all this stuff about belief in Allah and whatever, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, their speech doesn't match their actions at all. Like, it's like night and day. You know what I mean? And you can see it all over the place. And that's why you go on Black Facebook or Black Twitter, all it is arguments. It's fights. Everybody fighting. You don't see that in any other community. I promise you. I promise you.
No, it's true. And like, you don't see any other group bashing their men or their women the way that we do.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't exist. What is the white equivalent to a swirler? You don't have that. What is the Indian equivalent to what goes on with our community? It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
You know what I mean? So, but
yet we have people who participated.
Yeah, and they're happy
willingly and unknowingly.
Yeah, and then they're happy.
Like, why?
Because, again, it's down to ignorance. They don't do. Being able to read is such like an incredible blessing. It's like a major blessing. You understand? But Black people have been taught that reading is corny.
We were taught that.
How did we get this idea? Like, reading is such a powerful tool. You know what I mean? And what do we read? We read posts. We don't read books. And then we wonder why we're so far behind. You're far behind because, instead of doing the work, you wanted to take the easy route. That's why you're far behind. These people are reading books. That's why they're ahead.
I'll even give you credit if you're at least listening to a book on tape. Like, it's still a book. You're not reading it, but come on, at least gain some knowledge some way. But instead, you'd rather just watch a YouTube video.
My point is that we take this blessing, right? And it's a blessing. It really is. It's a major blessing, right? And we completely bastardize it because we are pretty much taught to do that. And then we are the ones who are complaining about our condition. Well, the losers are the ones who complain, right? If you want to be the one who is complained about, then pick yourself up from that condition and change it. Like Allah says in the Quran, He doesn't change the condition of the people until they change that which is in themselves. If you don't have the ability to hold your tongue, right, or the ability to restrain yourself, with speech or even sexually, whatever it is, if you don't have that discipline to do that, then why would anybody even think about taking you seriously? You know what I mean? You have to be accountable. Reading is for getting knowledge, not for getting entertainment on social media.
On social media.
Arguing with people you don't know, and you're serious, you're not joking. Like, you're getting emotional and triggered and like this, and arguing with people You don't know over issues that you don't fully understand, and you go on for days and days and days. And when you could have been finished how many books by them? You know what I mean? So what, and that's why these academic types, they can come into the Black community and make these types of arguments. They can tell, look, Black men ain't getting educated. You know what I mean? So go and marry a white man. He's educated. You get it? That's why they're able to do that stuff.
That was crazy too, because it wasn't like he even suggested any other race. It was like, go marry a white man. Like, what?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So they're able to do that because of that very thing. We are the ones who need to step up our game, and we have to be accountable to each other. And not every single thing that you disagree with needs to be expressed.
I'm learning that.
You know what I mean? Not every single thing.
I'm trying my hardest. I'm gonna be honest.
But again, it's not about you. This is a problem with Black people. Right? It's a major problem with Black people, that every single time they disagree with something, they're the first one to put their opinion in. Why don't you step back a little bit, research the topic properly, get both sides of the argument, and then make a statement instead of being first? Do that. You know what I mean? Just do that. That's what I mean. Go, if you're really that upset about that issue, okay, go research the topic properly, and then you come back to it. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, Aki?
Alhamdulillah, brother. CL Edwards, what you got for us today?
I can't stay long, but I just had to get on and give my piece.
Go ahead, bro.
First of all, the article itself is downright disrespectful. It's absolutely disrespectful. And the fact that you have, Black people, Black women commenting and talking about, yeah, it shows you how much of a coon fool so many Black people can be. Sorry for the strong rebuking, but you need it. Because only a coon would allow somebody to disrespect them to their face, and they don't even realize it. They're completely oblivious that this person is mocking you. But you'll get on there and comment, yeah, I'm gonna get me a Chad.
Yeah.
Chad, first of all, Chad don't. Let me break down some facts to you. Chad don't want you. The average Chad don't want you. Number two, first of all, are you this slow that you think all white people are like people you see on TV? You think all white people walk around in suits and work at the top of high-rise buildings and drive Corvettes to work every day or something? The average white person is broke. You can look this is not even trashing anyone. This is absolute fact. First of all, the average person in North America is broke. They're covered in riba. They're in absolute debt.
Well, bro, let me tell you something, okay? This is a social engineering project.
Yes, it is.
Right? There's no doubt about it. And if you doubt that it is a social engineering project, just look at the way that Black women, they responded when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And you're going to see parallels here. You understand? Black women are very quick, very, very quick to throw Black men under the bus. Very quick, right? We rarely see that with Black men. You know what I mean? But how did they reach this level? Again, social engineering project. It didn't come overnight. You understand? It didn't happen just like that overnight.
Well, I mean, that's the pathway to success in North America. Like everybody not just black women, immigrants, anybody. When you come on over, you want to assimilate, trash black men. You know, put your feet on black men so you can be accepted by the dominant society. You know, that's the pathway to be to show that that's the pathway to show that you're down with the program. You know, you're down with whatever thing you're going. You know, and like the average white man in North America makes about $50,000 a year. The average white woman about $45,000 a year. So, you know, to think that, you know, the whole thing about Zaddy, it's like a cartoon character. It barely exists outside of New York and LA, and you know, maybe the downtown areas of your major cities. Ain't no Zaddy. It's just some broke white dude in a pickup truck, you know, with a trip making $50,000 a year in debt with a Trump sticker on the back. There's your Zaddy. Go ahead, marry him. See if he wants to marry you. Go ahead. Have a happy life in the trailer park.
Well, you know, bro, this type of pitting black women against black men, these guys, they got it down to a science.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
they
really
know what to do and they know what to say.
The way you can tell they understand what they're doing just by simply watching the reactions of black women.
Oh yeah,
you understand? Like if you remember Tiffany Haddish, she was the first one to come out publicly from those stars. Black woman, had to be a black woman, talking about, you know, she just loves to see a man come and protect his woman like that. You know, and it turns into that thing. It turned into he was protecting his woman. And black women are basically saying that, you know, we want our men to protect us, which black men historically, you know, they have a history of doing that, right? So, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
So it's so mixed up. They're mixed up because the messaging is mixed up, and the
messaging is mixed up because the woman in question was Jada Pinkett. Yeah. She is the type of woman that you shouldn't be protecting. You know what I mean? Like if we're going to put our standards so low, right, that we are now protecting street trash. You know, she for the streets. I never heard Jada Pinkett not one time say, you know, in the last few years say that she loved Will Smith. You know what I mean? She's been embarrassing him, like publicly, humiliating the guy, right? There was a recent on Jada Pinkett's 40th birthday. Will Smith planned that thing for 3 years, a birthday party.
I saw that.
It was like so heartbreaking, bro. But at the same time, what Will Smith did, and his, because, you know, black men, like I said, we have a history of this. You have a history of protecting our women, and he put himself in such a precarious situation because that's what black men do. They protect the wrong type of women. You get me?
You know, I heard that Will Smith's best friend is Muslim.
Well, maybe you can make some dawah to him, you know.
Yes,
yeah.
This is the perfect time.
Here you have, like you said, this coon, right, who is advising black women to follow the footsteps of Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson.
See, that's the fantasy. That represents what?
Thank you.
Less than 1% of the population. That's probably 0.0000001% of the population. But you got these females on YouTube thinking they're going to be them. You think you're going to be them? Like I said, there's not even enough white. It's not even enough white guys who are so-called educated and professional and successful who are interested in black women to go around. They don't even exist.
Yeah. You know, but we're getting the completely wrong messages all over the place. Never in white society do we have the equivalent of a Will Smith. Never any society, really, you know.
But this needs to be a lesson for men, because I've heard a lot of talk about, you know, black men picking incorrectly, and
Yes, I
that
did
is
a
that is an
video
issue.
about that.
I saw that.
I
Black
did a
men we do have an issue with who we pick. You know,
Yes.
I'm Sapana. I'll put myself out there. I made a mistake. I'm not gonna go into detail because I don't want to, trash the mother of my child. But
Mm,
knowing what I know now, I would advise somebody to do differently than what I did.
mm,
Brothers out here picking women with kids
mm,
by multiple men,
mhm,
women who are only on practicing Islam on a surface level.
mhm,
Why would you put yourself in a situation where you constantly have to enjoin the good and forbid the evil on your wife? You
mhm,
put yourself in a situation you constantly trying to tell her to wear a proper hijab or
mm,
tell her to pray or tell her to do this. Why would you put yourself in that position?
mhm.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
What would
I mean,
Why would you be with a woman that's been with all these different bodies and all these different men?
this again, this can't be fixed without both the black man and the black woman committing to changing that situation. You understand? Jazakallah khair, brother Kev D. Hayakum Allah, may Allah reward you and bless you and multiply it for you 1,000-fold and forgive you your sins by it. I mean, you understand? But we have to be the ones who are not committed. We have to let them, like I keep saying, let those heifers go extinct. The Pookies and Ray Rays too. If they want to stay Pookie and Ray Ray, let them go extinct. We can't be trying to save people who don't want to be saved like that. You know what I mean? We'll be happily give them the message, give them guidance if they want it. But we got work to do. We seriously have work to do, and we have a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? And this type of being so like, how can you look at that Will Smith smack and say it's okay? A black woman will say it's okay because she's seeing what the black woman is seeing is a man standing up and defending herself. You understand? A lot of women see a lot of Jada Pinkett in themselves. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. So they're relating to that. But what they should be doing is saying, is this better for the wider society? You know what I mean? How does this help the wider society if your man, every time he gets perturbed, he's resorting to violence? We already have that stigma already. We already got that stigma already, that black men are violent.
There's so many black men sitting in prison because they went off about something concerning a woman.
For some woman, yes, that's a real thing. Yes, that is actually real. For some woman,
yeah,
100%.
So many people, so many killings and murders and drive-bys have been done because some woman went to her man or went to her brother or went to her cousin and said, somebody disrespected me. They jumped up, grabbed some guns, and went and started killing somebody and and then one black person dead, one black person in prison. And then that woman who sent you on a mission to go smack or beat or shoot somebody while you're in prison, she'll be with somebody else.
Yeah.
You have a new baby daddy.
That is real. We know people like this, like straight up. I think we all know people like this. You know what I mean? And we don't need that anymore. Like our women have been so like socially engineered since the 60s with this black feminism stuff. I put out the video that came out in 83 or something, 82 or 83. All these young black teenagers, saying, I don't need no man. I don't need no man. I don't need no man. 2020, Cardi B talking about, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring. What has changed?
And that was Cap.
Yeah.
That was Cap because she does cook and clean. her husband, I've seen that video. Her husband had her own video. Like, I thought you said you don't cook and clean. But, but see, that shows you something. These coons, these entertainers, they're selling. Like, if you're dumb enough, if you're that, you have so much low self-esteem about yourself, and you're not that you don't have anything in your life to give you guidance,
Hmm.
that you look at these people on social media and the media, and you think it's real. You think this lifestyle that they're selling you is something that you can emulate. There's something that's real that you can actually put into effect for your life, and that you're going to have a success. You have to be crazy. You have to be,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
subhanAllah.
you got to ask yourself the right questions.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
You got to ask yourself the questions.
Yeah, and Will Smith should show brothers. First of all, you should value yourself, value what you're trying to do, the direction you're trying to do. Like a man like that, a 50-something-year-old man who's at the top of his profession, who's quote unquote a high value man, you put yourself in this position based off of some emotional, just jumping up to prove something to a woman who hasn't proved anything to you. When did she jump up and prove something to you? He's constantly trying to prove something to her. When did she ever try to prove something to him?
I have never seen Jada defend Will Smith.
She's a contrarian. She's a contrarian. She's constantly against him. She's constantly going in the different direction, to the point she has his own children.
But how many black men can relate to that?
A lot. Too many.
Yeah. Because to be honest, we all have like some of that in us. We will defend our women no matter what. Many of us have been in a relationship way too long, right? We knew we should have dumped that heifer or left her ahead of the curve a long time ago, right? But because we don't want to disrespect our women, we do that. We have that in us, right? But when we're outside looking into somebody else's relationship, we can see the mistakes. But how do we now fix it when we're outside, looking in? Black men need to take accountability as much as women. If they choose those type of women, you can't complain. 100%. You make that choice. We as black, especially Muslims, need to get it together. 100%. I agree with you.
See, here's the problem. Many of those black men, who were they raised by?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're raised by a black woman.
So they get that idea. They get that, that Tupac, dear mama. You're a, even though you're a crack fiend mama, you're a black queen mama. They get that notion from their mamas.
Yes.
Their sisters and their aunties.
Yes, this is a fact.
They're picking. It's just, if you grow up in a household with women, that's going to influence you, and you're probably going to pick women like the women you saw growing up.
Exactly.
Well, that's the part people are saying.
I want to thank Sister Tika, first of all, for the donation. May Allah reward you and multiply for you 1,000-fold and raise your rank and genital for those. Ameen. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, that's the part people aren't talking about. So many of these men are picking wrong, but they're picking their mamas.
That's very, very true. And we have so much work. And if I had one advice for sisters, Black Muslim sisters particularly, right? Don't seek marriage advice from single women. Don't do it. Don't seek marriage advice from women who've been, has like baby mamas and these multiple divorcees and these type of things. You don't get marriage. I read last week there was this sister. Okay. Oh no, not about a month or two ago on Facebook. Okay, last year she got married. A whole year afterwards, just 1 year, she's divorced back on Facebook, giving marriage advice. Giving marriage advice. If a man treats you like this, don't do this. If a man treats you like that, don't. These are the worst types of women to get marriage advice from.
Now,
the worst.
The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
And now last week she's putting on, she's Muslim, mind you, baby mama Muslim. She's putting pictures of her and her intended, so she can be a next man's nightmare. You see what I'm saying? And the cycle continues.
But to that brother, why would you put up with that? See, you need to brothers need to stop making up excuses. You need to.
Yes.
The Prophet told you who to get married to. The prophet told
Yes,
you who to
yes.
get married to. You need to stop being tricked by because she light skinned. You need to stop being tricked because she thick. Stop being tricked because her status. Stop being tricked by all these other things. He told you to marry the woman that was that's religious. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So
Yes, sir.
you find a woman that fits that bill. You make it clear what your expectations are, and then you enforce them in marriage. And you don't spend years going back and forth with a contrarian. You don't get them pregnant. Once you see she's a contrarian, get rid of her.
Get rid of her. Yeah, that's it. Don't
Just
stay
like,
with that.
just like
Change the threshold of your
yes,
of your
that's what I was
game.
just about to say.
Listen to good advice from Ibrahim alayhi salam. And this is the advice that men need to like. Black relationships don't break up because of the men. They break up because of the women. The women are the ones who are ending these relationships. And when they end them in very tragic ways. Very tragic ways. They'll take the Muslim woman, I see it in my own eyes if I didn't see it, bragging about taking their ex-husband to court and getting the house. Did she work? No. 3 years marriage. Married 3 years and got the house. You know what I mean? Why are you putting your business out there like that? This is what I mean. Like, how do you put your personal stuff out there like that and then expect a good marriage? It's a craziness. It's craziness. You know what I mean? We have our standards, but anyways, go ahead, Sheikh. Go.
I was going to say, making Toba is real, and Toba is available to anyone. So, if someone's done something, they can make Toba, but they need to, Iman is not just speech of, words of the mouth or what's inside your heart. Is also action as well.
And that's the highest. That's what people don't get it. Don't get, especially black people. Black people think they can speak their iman into existence. If you want your iman to be tangible, do some stuff. You know what I mean? Stop talking so much. Like straight up, black folk, I'm telling you, I love y'all, but I'm seeing what other people are seeing too. You know what I mean? You talk too much. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You never shut up.
Even me, I talk a lot. You know what I'm saying? But at least I can say, I'm reading.
Yeah, but see, that's something we carry. That came from the conditioning here in North America. That comes from we brought that in. We took that from the church to the masjid. All that talking. I'm saved. Somebody such all that saved talk that that our family members did, and what nobody saved. What none of them saved. Yes, nobody saved. All that saved. Now it's I'm upon the dawah talk, and it's I'm upon I've pledged allegiance to Sheikh such and such talk. And it's just talk.
I've clarified my position on this issue. Blah blah blah. It's all that. All that's it's that being saved. Exactly what you're saying. That's what it is. That's what it is. So now you think because when you were a Christian, you thought you can talk your success into existence because that's what Mass and them taught you, and you become Muslim and you're still doing the same nonsense. The same nonsense.
They got black people all around the planet fooled with that stuff. Talking about word of faith. You got black people in Africa, black people in the Caribbean, black people in South America, black people in North America talking about they're speaking success into existence. Meanwhile, everybody else is doing something tangible. But you fools are sitting around talking about you're gonna speak a Rhema word into existence. Meanwhile, everybody else is.
Bro, go ahead, brother Kev. You're on live. Go ahead, Kev.
He's listening online and he's delayed.
Kev, can you hear us?
I didn't actually want to step up here other than to I didn't want to step up here for too long. I just wanted to be vocal with my appreciation. It's been a while now. I mean, I'm not a day one for the Feachaz. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead, bro.
He's not listening to the StreamYard stream. He's listening to the YouTube.
Yeah, you're right. I am listening to StreamYard, to the YouTube. I just paused that. But I just wanted to say Jazakallah khair for the effort. I'm not day one, but I appreciate the effort that you're putting in, Brother Bilal. You're bringing up a lot of very candid topics. I guess the only thing that I wanted to just double back on, you're speaking about education. You're speaking about us getting informed, us getting in the mode of understanding what's going on. And I think that a lot of the times we're looking for this shortcut. And I don't recall who put into a quote for me, but he said that don't look for the shortcut too long, rather just take the long way. Because if you take the long way and you get it done, you can double back 2 or 3 times while you haven't even found your conclusion taking and looking for these shortcuts. So it's very true. I think a lot of the times we sit here and we think, oh, by marrying this person or getting involved in this and things that are not our problems, are not our situations, we lose a lot of the barakah that will come with everything else. But I did want to say Jazakallah khair again. And ironically, I think a lot of the times they think that Black people, they have this idea, I guess even the sharecroppers, was it 1960s up until that they were sharing the land with their white zaddies. Subhanallah. But subhanallah, to paraphrase the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyid al-Qawm khadimuhum. So we're doing the work that, not that they don't want to, or that they see that is under them. We're doing the work that they can't, and we have power that they don't even understand. And that is one of the reasons I believe, even without being, alhamdulillah, Muslim, but even without putting Islam on the forefront, just looking at us as Blacks, that's why they're so afraid of us. They look at us in how many ways that they can hold us down and draw us back. They make us fight each other. They create partitions between us in every single way. But subhanallah, we're closer to their masters because we serve them, and we serve them without even asking for pay. Jazakallah khair again. I'm gonna jump off of here, but I appreciate the effort that you guys are putting in.
Well, yeah, Jazakallah khair. Thanks for participating. I really appreciate it, bro. Hayakum Allah. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, bro. So I just want to jump on what he just said real quick about the interference that we receive. Now, I want you to imagine, just for example, a world where Black feminism never existed, mass incarceration never existed, the war on drugs never existed, right? Just these three. Okay, let's say these three never existed. Do you see anything resembling the situation that we have now with the Black family?
No, of course not. No.
So we know for a fact that other people, without even us asking, are interfering in our affairs. There's a book is written by Robert, what's his name? Robert Greene. Well, let me show you this book. Right? See, this is why I tell you. Okay, this book right here.
28 Laws of Power.
Yeah, 28 Laws of Power. Okay, right. One of the things. Oh, not this book. Actually, there's another book, Machiavelli, The Prince. I'm thinking about, not this one. But one of the things that Niccolo Machiavelli, he mentioned in The Prince. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's The Prince. It's either that or this one. But anyway, one of the things that one of them mentioned, right, was that never give your enemy a chance to get strength. Never give your enemy a chance to get strength. If you're going to slaughter him, then slaughter them completely. But don't just wound him, because if you wound them, they'll come back and they'll destroy you. You understand? They are always trying to slaughter us completely. You understand? Who is going to get us out of this situation? Who's going to get us out of this situation?
All might and all powers by Allah.
That's it. So if we are not getting a relationship right with Allah,
Allah doesn't change the condition of the
people, and it's all related. It's all connected. You understand? All of this is related. All of it's connected, right? Allah doesn't change the condition of people until they change the condition within themselves. We have to look at this entire situation objectively and honestly and scientifically. And if we're not willing to do that, while trying to seek Allah's help and guidance in this situation, then how are we going to get out of this? If Allah can get the Yahud, Beni Israel, underneath the feet of Pharaoh, and if he can get the Prophet ﷺ, who was one man alone in a desert somewhere with some high-powered pagans, remember the Prophet ﷺ, one of the attributes of the Prophet ﷺ, right, that made his dawah so powerful and potent is that not only was he one of the people, one of the Arabs, but he was actually one of the poor people, okay? Not only was he one of the poor people, but he was an orphan. You understand? He didn't have the guidance of his father with him. You get me? And Allah guided him. And not only that, he guided him because of him, a man who couldn't read or write. He influenced an entire nation of people who now read and write because of him. And he couldn't read and write. But what we do with that, what we do with our blessing, we waste our blessings and we're ungrateful to Allah. And then we wonder why we're under the feet of these devils. You get me? And I don't know if that made sense, but go ahead, C.L. Edwards.
Yeah, it made perfect sense to me. Yeah. Like you said, it's always the victory comes from Allah, but Allah is not going to give victory to sinful people.
Yeah,
it's a simple formula. Sinful people don't get the favor of Allah. So it's one thing to be oppressed and be sinful. It's another thing to be oppressed and be righteous. And right now at this point, the majority of us are sinful.
Yep.
It's sinful.
And it's one thing to be sinful because many people are sinful, right? But it's another thing when you've been blessed with Islam, you came into Islam, and you insist on being you're persistent in the sin over the guidance.
Well, Allah says what means, come into Islam wholeheartedly. And
exactly.
Many of us have not put our whole entire heart into Islam. We still want that.
We're in the talking phase, bro.
We still, we still want some. It's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We still got that 1 foot out just in case, because we want that. We want that fallback plan to be able to go back into the dunya.
Yeah, we're still in the talking phase, bro.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
We still talking, man. Why are we still talking?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So because a lot of this behavior, this ain't nothing but it's the same ghetto behavior. It's the same, the this behavior that the master taught us, and we're bringing it into Islam, and we're Islamicizing it. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, instead of having a bunch of baby daddies and kids by different baby daddies, now you got a bunch of marriages.
Yeah,
Kids by different people you marry. It's the same exact thing, except you did it under you finagled under the guise of Islam to do it.
Exactly. Even the time, if you look at the length of these relationships, they're like boyfriend-girlfriend relationships.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They're not long-term relationships at all, man. And then the behavior doesn't change. The only thing that changes really is your dress code. You're doing it with thobes and beards and abayas now. That's it.
And I've seen brothers on social media. Will Smith, it's time for black men to stand up. You know,
hell no to the no, hell to the no.
What are they saying, man?
And I noticed a lot of these brothers. I ain't gonna pick on nobody. A lot of these brothers come from a particular city.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know, this mentality is known in the city, and it seems to spread out. You know, from this region of America across America, and it's until that changes, subhanAllah, until we don't put up with that any longer, until we feel ashamed of it, until until we can't stand it any longer. It's just a cycle that keeps going over and over again. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop.
All right, bro. I think this is enough. We've been going on for 2 hours now, but Jazakallah khair. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it, bro. Hayakum Allah.
Alhamdulillah. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thanks for everybody who donated. Sister Rabia, Brother Kev. And thanks for everybody who joined us today and participated. Thanks for everybody who commented in the chat. And thanks for everybody who liked, subscribed, and shared. And please like, subscribe, and share. As you know, we are the only ones doing these topics, the topics that you've been asking for since you became Muslim but couldn't get them. Okay? Jazakumullah khair. Subhanallah wa bihamdik wa shalla ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.